painful thought formed in her mind. My child may suffer with me, but with him, the child would live well. Ikenga and Nenna had spent almost 2 decades begging the gods for a child. For 18 years, motherhood lived in Nenna's heart, but refused to live in her body. Everyone in Umuaba village knew it. The whispers followed her everywhere she went. That is the woman with no child. Some pitied her, some mocked her, some wondered why her husband, Ikenga, still kept her. But inside their hearts, Nenna never complained. She cooked for her husband, set his hunting bag every morning, washed his clothes, and lay beside him each night, praying that tomorrow would be the day she conceived. She cried into her wrapper when no one was watching. Ikenga pretended to be strong, but he suffered just as deeply. He wanted a child desperately, but he hid his pain. He did not want to add to Nenna's burden. Every evening, he left the house saying he was checking traps. Instead, he went to a quiet corner of the forest and let his tears fall. He cried like a man whose heart was breaking into pieces. He thought no one saw him, but someone did. Nelma. She was a 17-year-old orphan who gathered firewood near the forest. One evening, she heard someone crying. She peeked and saw Ikenga, the fearless hunter everyone respected, bent over, shaking, trying to hide his sobs. The sight shocked her. She knew him as a powerful man. Seeing him like that, so broken, touched something inside her. She understood then that his quiet strength hid a wound no one saw. From that day, whenever she saw him pass, she greeted him gently and kept her thoughts to herself. But life soon dragged her into a storm. A young man named Chidi, known for his smooth tongue, charmed her. He made promises, deceived her heart, and left her pregnant. When she told him, he denied everything. "It is not my child. Go and find the father." Her aunt beat her and called her a disgrace. Chidi's family closed their door against her, and villagers mocked her, saying she had been careless. She endured the insults, but every day she thought about the life inside her, growing without a father, without support, without love. Her aunt already warned her, "When you give birth, you and that child will fend for yourselves." Fear gripped her. She had no parents, no one to defend her, no one to call family. But every time Ikenga passed her on the path, she remembered the forest, his tears, his pain, his longing for a child he could not have. He always greeted her politely, never knowing she held on to that simple kindness like a lifeline. One afternoon, while resting under a tree and rubbing her growing stomach, a painful thought formed in her mind. My child may suffer with me, but with him, the child would live well. Ikenga and Nenna had spent almost 2 decades begging the gods for a child. Naoma had a child coming into the world unwanted, unplanned, and unaccepted. She stayed silent, but the decision settled in her heart like a heavy stone. Months passed. Her pregnancy grew. The insults continued. Chidi never changed his mind. But Naoma reached only one conclusion. Her child deserved more than she could give. When labor came, she screamed through the night until a baby boy slipped into her hands. Her aunt did not bother to comfort her. The whole thing felt like punishment, not childbirth. But when Naoma held the tiny boy, something inside her broke. She cried for the love she could not give, and for the life she was about to surrender. By dawn, her mind was made. She waited until her aunt fell asleep. She wrapped her baby carefully in her own wrapper, tied him close to her chest, and stepped out of the hut quietly. She simply walked with a heavy heart, knowing exactly what she was doing. Ikenga always entered the forest at the same time, just before sunrise, to check his traps. She had watched him enough to know his footsteps and his hour, so she followed the familiar path, her feet trembling but determined. Her baby slept peacefully against her chest, unaware of the world waiting for him. She whispered softly, "You will grow up in a house where you are loved, not in a house where your father denies your existence." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she didn't stop walking. She reached the forest edge and waited behind a tree. She did not want him to see her. She wanted him to see only the child. She wanted the child to be a gift, not a burden. Soon she heard footsteps. Steady, strong, familiar. Ikenga. He was coming. She stepped out quietly, placed her baby boy gently on a bed of soft leaves near the small footpath he always used, and covered him lightly with the wrapper to keep him warm. She did not leave a note, She did not whisper her name. She simply touched the baby's cheek one last time and whispered, "Live well, my son." Then she hid behind the tree, her heart pounding, watching from the shadows. Ikenga's footsteps grew louder. He turned the corner and stopped abruptly when he saw the tiny bundle lying across his path. He stared, confused. Naoma covered her mouth to stop herself from crying out. Ikenga slowly bent down, reached for the wrapper, and uncovered the baby's face. His breath caught. A child, a newborn, placed in his path at the hour he prayed for one. He looked around shouting, "Who left this child here? Show yourself." Naoma squeezed her eyes shut. She knew he would never see her. Ikenga lifted the baby into his arms, held him carefully against his chest, and whispered something only the trees could hear. Naoma's knees weakened. Her tears fell freely, but she stayed hidden. She watched Ikenga carry her child away, the child she had given a future. She had done what she believed was right. And now she stepped back into the forest shadows. She whispered to the earth beneath her feet, "It is done."
Ikenga walked home with the baby strapped carefully to his chest, his hands trembling, as though he held a piece of the sun. His heart beat fast, not out of fear, but from the overwhelming weight of a miracle he never expected. For years, he and his wife Nena had cried in secret, begging for a child. Now, a newborn lay in his arms, warm and breathing softly. It felt unreal. When he stepped into the compound, Nena was sweeping the front of their hut. She looked up and froze. Her broom slipped from her fingers. Her eyes widened. "Ikenga, what is that?" He gently untied the wrapper and revealed the tiny boy. The baby stretched his little fingers, let out a soft sound, and continued sleeping. Nena gasped and stepped back. Where did you get a child? From where? Ikenga, answer me." Ikenga raised both hands, still holding the baby. "I found him in the forest, alone, wrapped carefully. Someone must have left him there." Nena's breath shook. Fear crawled through her body. She stepped closer slowly, almost cautiously, like someone approaching a spirit. Are you sure? Are you sure he's not from the gods? What if he's something else?" Ikenga shook his head firmly. "No spirit cries like this. No spirit sleeps like this. This is a human child." Nena swallowed, her heart racing. She looked at the baby again, closer this time. He was beautiful, his skin soft, his breathing gentle. She extended her hand, but quickly withdrew it. "Wait, what if his mother returns? What if she wants him back?" Ikenga sighed deeply. "I stayed there. I shouted. I waited. Nena, nobody came." Silence filled the compound for a long moment. Then Nena's gaze softened ever so slightly. "Let me see him." Ikenga placed the baby into her arms. The moment her hands wrapped around the tiny body, something inside her shifted, a softness long buried under years of tears. Her eyes glistened. The baby yawned and moved his head against her chest. Nena's lips trembled. For 18 years, she had imagined this weight, this warmth, this feeling, and now it was real. She held him closer. "Ikenga, this child is not ordinary. He is peaceful, quiet. He fits in my arms like he was always meant to be here." Ikenga nodded. "That is how I felt too." She sat down slowly, rocking the baby. She breathed in the smell of new life. Her heart melted like hot wax. But fear still lingered on her face. "What do we do now?" Ikenga sat beside her, overwhelmed. "I do not know. But something in my heart tells me the child was meant for us." They stayed outside for a long time watching the baby sleep. Soon neighbors began passing by, and that was when the whispers began. "Ah, Nena has given birth? No, it cannot be. Yesterday she was flat like a calabash. That man, Ikenga, is this some kind of magic?" People approached, pretending to greet, but coming to see the baby. Some smiled, some frowned, some whispered harshly, "Let them not bring curses upon themselves." But Nena ignored them. She finally had a baby in her arms, even if she didn't birth him. By evening, the entire village had heard. Women gathered in small circles, debating, where did the child come from? Who abandoned a newborn? Are they not scared? Only one thing was clear. Nobody came forward to claim the boy. Days passed, and love grew. Nena gradually accepted the child fully. The fear that he was a spirit faded as she fed him pap, bathed him, and watched him sleep peacefully beside her. She named him Obina, father's heart, because Ikenga had found him, and because the boy had stolen both their hearts. Ikenga returned to the forest several times, calling out, checking the path, hoping the mysterious mother would appear, but she never did. Unknown to him, Noma watched from a distance each time, hidden among bushes, tears streaming down her face. When she saw how Nena held the boy, how Ikenga protected him, she knew she had made the right decision. But not everyone was happy. Ikenga's elder brother Ogefi came into the compound one afternoon. His voice thundered, "Ikenga, what foolishness have you brought upon our lineage?" Ikenga stood firm. "This child has harmed no one." "You do not know that? What if he was abandoned for a reason? What if he carries misfortune? Are you mad?" Nena held Obina tightly, her protective instincts rising. "Brother," Ikenga said calmly, "for years you told me to get another wife. For years you mocked my household. Now that a child has entered this home, you still complain?" Obeifi sneered. "That boy is not your blood," Ikenga replied with quiet strength. "But he is my responsibility." Obeifi clicked his tongue and stormed out. For 5 long years, Nena walked through life like a woman learning how to smile again. Obina, the boy she accepted as her own, became the sunshine that slowly melted her sorrow. He ran around the compound calling her mama with a joy that made even hardened neighbors soften. And then, something unexpected happened. One cold morning, Nena rushed out of her hut screaming, "Ikenga, Ikenga, come quickly!" The villagers gathered, whispering. Ikenga ran out, still tying his wrapper. "What is it? What happened?" She held his hand, trembling. "Ikenga, I'm with child." A wave of shock swept through the compound. 18 years of waiting, and then suddenly a son fell from the sky, Obina, and now her womb opened. Old women clapped their hands, men nodded. Her joy has finally begun. And truly, when Emeke was born, Nena laughed in a way she hadn't done in decades. From the beginning, Emeke was everything she had prayed for, the child of her own body. Nena adored him, carried him everywhere, sang for him, watched him breathe as if afraid someone would take him away. Obina stood beside her bed the day she returned from childbirth, smiling shyly. "Mama, he is very small." She smiled faintly. "Yes, he is." But something in her eyes had changed. When Emeke cried, she flew to him. When Obina cried, she said, you are a big boy, stop that." At first it was small things. Emeke got the bigger bowl of food. Emeke slept on her chest, while Obina slept by her feet. Emeke wore new wrappers, while Obina wore patched ones. Neighbors noticed, but Obina, he did not. He simply loved his brother. Years passed and the boys grew inseparable. Emeke would jump on Obina's back shouting, "Senior brother, run!" Obina would run around the compound laughing, never showing tiredness. When they fetched water, Emeke spilled his own and cried. Obina carried both buckets. When they played wrestling, Emeke always lost, but Obina fell deliberately sometimes so his brother would smile. Every villager said the same thing. These two boys, they are tied together like twins. But behind their closeness was an invisible wound, one only Obina could feel. It started with careless comments. A neighbor jokingly said, "Obina resembles no one in this family." Nena quickly responded, "Why will he? We picked him." Obina stood behind her holding firewood. The word entered his bones. Another time, Ikenga scolded him for breaking a pot. "You better behave yourself. This is not the forest where we found you." Even though he spoke lightly, the statement stung. Still, he swallowed it. He never complained. He never talked back, because every time he looked at Emeke, warmth returned to his heart. Emeke was different. Whenever their mother corrected Obina too sharply, Emeke stood beside him. "Mama, leave him. He did not do it on purpose." If Ikenga assigned Obina the heavier work, Emeke followed him outside. "I will help you carry the firewood." One evening, Obina returned from the stream with tears quietly running down his face. Emeke wiped them with his small hands. "What happened?" "Nothing," he whispered. "Don't lie to me. I am your brother." Obina smiled, even though his heart felt tight. "Emeke, for you, I can endure anything."
As the boys grew from toddlers to young children, the difference became clearer. If Emeka misbehaved, Nena said, "Leave him, he's still small." If Obina misbehaved, you should know better. Didn't we take you in? Behave yourself. When food was scarce, Emeka ate first. Obina got whatever remained. If visitors came, Nena proudly called, "Emeka, greet them." Obina greeted too, but no one paid him attention. One afternoon, Emeka and Obina were playing with a carved wooden toy Ikenga had made. Emeka accidentally broke it and panicked. "I will tell Mama it was me," Obina said calmly. "But she will beat you," Emeka whispered. Obina smiled. "I knew."
He went inside and accepted the punishment because his little brother was too gentle to bear it. Ikenga flogged him lightly, and Nena shook her head, muttering, "This boy, I don't even know where he came from." Obina heard every word, but as always, he swallowed it. One hot afternoon, Nena sat outside with a neighbor, Mama Ukamaka. Obina, returning from the stream, walked behind the hut and paused as he heard his name. Mama Ukamaka said, "Your 2 sons are growing well. You are blessed." Nena laughed softly, a bitter, thoughtless laugh. "I don't have 2 sons," she said. Obina froze. She continued, "I only have 1 son, Emeka. The other one, we picked him. He is not mine." The calabash Obina held slipped from his hand and shattered on the ground. The sound was loud enough to silence both women. Obina stood there, eyes wide, water running down his feet, his heart cracking like the broken calabash. Emeka rushed outside, confused. "Obina, what happened?" But Obina could not speak. He walked past them slowly, each step heavy, each breath painful. That night, he lay on his mat, staring at the roof, hearing her words again and again. "I only have 1 son, Emeka," for the first time in his short life. Obina wondered if he truly belonged. "If I am not her son, who am I?" He muttered. 20 years passed, and the story of Obina and Emeka spread through the villages like the steady flow of a river. They grew into strong young men. Obina tall, calm and disciplined, Emeka handsome, bold and charming. People often said, if the gods bless a mother with 2 sons like these, she must have done something good. But whenever they said mother, only one of the boys smiled. On a bright market morning, the royal gong sounded across the village. Bagam, bagam, bagam. Every trader paused. Every child stopped playing. Men gathered in front of the palace as the royal announcer lifted his staff. "The king has spoken," he declared. "Our princess, Adaeze, has come of age. She will choose a husband." The crowd roared, men pushing closer. "And whoever the princess chooses will be trained to rule this kingdom one day." A wave of excitement swept through the land. Farmers straightened their shoulders, wrestlers beat their chests, hunters whispered about destiny. And 2 brothers exchanged a quiet look. Emeka's heart beat fast. "Obina, did you hear?" Obina nodded, staring into the distance. Who wouldn't hear? The whole world shook. The princess everyone dreamed of. Princess Adaeze was not only beautiful, she had a reputation for wisdom and kindness. Men admired her, women respected her, children adored her. Emeka had always admired her from afar. She once greeted him politely during the New Yam festival, and his heart nearly jumped out of his chest. But Obina, on the other hand, admired her silently. Her confidence, her calm gaze, the way she spoke with reason, he respected all of it. But neither of them knew the other felt the same way. That evening, they sat behind the compound sharpening their cutlasses for the next day's work. Emeka cleared his throat. "Senior brother, let me ask you honestly, do you like the princess?" Obina paused, then nodded once. Emeka exhaled deeply. "I do too." Silence hung between them like a thick rope. Emeka broke it. "But Obina, we cannot stand in front of her like enemies." Obina smiled faintly. "We never have and we never will. So, what should we do?" Obina looked up at the sky. "Let fate decide." They sat in silence, thinking. At last, Emeka suggested, "Let us travel tomorrow through 2 different routes. Whoever returns home first will be the one to contest for her hand." Obina nodded. "That is fair." They shook hands, firm, loyal, brotherly. No jealousy, no competition, just love and trust. Nena's heart spoke a different truth. As the brothers packed their bags later that night, Nena watched from the doorway. Emeka came to her first. "Mama, Obina and I will leave early tomorrow. We agreed that whoever returns first." "Oh," she cut in sharply, fear rising in her voice. "And you agreed to this? Why?" "It is fair." "Fair?" She eyes burned. "What is fair about risking the throne with someone who is not even your blood?" Emeka frowned. "Mama, Obina is my brother. You know that." Nena hissed. "A brother? My friend, let me not hear that nonsense again." Her voice rose in panic, not anger. "Emeka, open your eyes. Don't you see what is happening? The throne is a chance for our family to rise. You must win it." Emeka swallowed slowly. "Then let the gods decide." She froze. She realized he would not betray Obina. The morning they left, before the sun rose, Obina and Emeka stood at the gate of the compound with their bags slung across their shoulders. Ikenga prayed for them. May your footsteps be guided. May your hearts remain pure. Emeka hugged his father. Obina bowed respectfully. Nnenna stood silently, watching the two young men she had raised, one with her body, one with her heart, but never fully accepted. Take care, Mama, Emeka said. Obina greeted her. I will return soon. She forced a smile. The brothers turned to leave, walking side by side until they reached the fork in the path. Emeka pointed left. I will take this route. Obina nodded. And I will take the right. They shook foreheads, the way they did as children, then walked away in silence. Their steps echoed through the trees. Two brothers walked into the forest, but the journey was longer than they thought, and neither of them knew one of the roots swallowed ours like a hungry beast. The forest path split into two, like a secret that refused to be equal. Emeka took the left route, smooth, clear, and short. Obina took the right route, narrow, winding, and painfully long. Neither brother knew, neither brother suspected.
The sun dipped quickly, and by midnight, Emeka's legs trembled from exhaustion. He had walked for hours, thinking he would be at the neighboring village by dusk, but the journey stretched like a stubborn piece of cloth. Finally, he spotted a faint light dancing in the darkness. A hut, a single hut, with a lamp glowing inside. Emeka hurried toward it and knocked. A calm, middle-aged man opened the door. His beard was thick, his wrapper simple. Behind him stood a girl, beautiful, gentle-eyed, holding a clay lamp. Please, Emeka gasped, and begged for a night's rest. I am traveling to the next village. The man looked at him for a long time, too long, then stepped aside. You may stay till dawn. The girl sat down a raffia mat. Emeka thanked them, breathing fast, sweating from the long walk. The girl smiled shyly. Her beauty wrapped the room like warm smoke. Emeka watched her. Thoughts he had ignored all day began to whisper to him. He lay down. Midnight came again. Then temptation did. He shifted closer to her. She moved back. He shifted again. This time, he reached for her arm. The girl screamed and pushed him away. Her father stormed in like thunder. What are you doing? Master, Emeka stuttered. It was a mistake. I didn't mean... The man's eyes hardened. You have shown who you truly are. Sleep outside till morning. He dragged Emeka out and shut the door. Emeka sat on the cold ground till dawn, shaking, not from the cold, but from shame. At sunrise, the man opened the door and pointed toward the path. Leave! Emeka swallowed hard and left without looking back. While Emeka was reaching the hut, Obina was still deep inside the forest. His path twisted like a confused snake. Trees leaned over him. Insects hummed endlessly. Night fell before he realized how far he still was. He stumbled forward until he saw it, the hut with the glowing lamp. The same hut, but for Obina, it was a full day later. He approached respectfully and knocked. The same man opened the door. The same girl stood behind him. Good evening, sir, Obina said with a tired bow. I seek only a place to rest. The man studied him, just as he studied Emeka. Then he nodded. Come in. The girl spread a mat. One. Obina paused. Please, he said softly, let her have the mat. I will manage. Where will you sleep? The father asked. Obina pointed to a wooden stool in the corner. Here is enough for me. He sat on it, stiff but humble. The girl watched him quietly. Her eyes softened. At dawn, Obina stood up and bowed. Thank you for your kindness. Let me help before I go. Before they could refuse, he fetched water from the stream and plucked fruits from a nearby tree. He arranged everything neatly. The man and his daughter exchanged a knowing look. May your journey be blessed, the man said. And your heart always remain this pure, the girl added. Obina smiled shyly, adjusted his bag, and continued his journey. By the time Obina reached the neighboring village, Emeka had already arrived the previous day, tired, angry at himself, and eager to forget what happened. They both finished what they came for and began the long journey home, arriving on the same evening. When they met at the compound, they embraced tightly. You made it, Emeka shouted. You too, Obina replied, relieved. They laughed, happy to see each other alive.
On the contest day, the drums were silent, but every heartbeat in the village was loud. The entire village gathered in the palace square. Young men stood tall, adjusting their wrappers, praying silently that the princess would look their way. Mothers whispered to the gods. Fathers watched with hope and pride. But no one in that crowd was more confident than Nena. She stood beside the Kenga with her head raised high, smiling proudly as she whispered to anyone who cared to listen. My son Emeka will be chosen today. I know the gods have already spoken. Ikenga nodded with assurance. Obina, that one? How can a boy picked from the bush marry a princess? Emeka heard the words, but he said nothing. He only stepped back gently, giving Emeka space in front. Emeka himself was nervous, but his heart was clean. He loved his brother too much to boast. Suddenly, Debo! A large gong sounded. The dancers froze. The crowd went quiet. The king, robed in gold and red, stood up with the princess beside him, her face calm, unreadable. Everyone expected him to call a name. Instead, he raised his hand. Bring the two brothers forward. Gasps filled the air. Emeka and Obina stepped out. Whispers rose like smoke. Why the two of them? Is it true they travel together? What's happening? Nena smiled proudly. The king knows greatness when he sees it. My Ebeka will shine today. The king looked at the brothers for a long moment, then turned to the crowd. My people, he began, before I choose a husband for my daughter, you must hear a story. The square shifted. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. A story, the king continued, about two young men who entered the forest without knowing they were being watched. Emeka's heart shook. Obina's eyes narrowed. Nena frowned. Watched? By who? The king raised his staff. By me. A loud cry of shock burst from the villagers. Yes, he continued, voice ringing across the square. I was the man in the hut. The princess lifted her veil slightly and added, and I was the girl who lived with him. Pandemonium swept the crowd. Nena staggered. Huh? What is His Majesty saying? The king lifted his palm for silence. I disguised myself because a seer came to my palace. She told me two brothers were on a journey, and one of them was destined to marry the princess. She told us to go to the old hut in the forest and test their hearts, for character is greater than beauty, and kindness is greater than strength. The villagers nodded slowly, eyes widening. The king's voice deepened. When the first brother arrived late in the night, we welcomed him. But before dawn, he failed the test of honor. Emeka shut his eyes. The king continued. He tried to touch the girl who had shown him kindness, a girl he thought was poor and powerless. He forgot respect. He forgot discipline. The crowd murmured. Nena swallowed hard. Her hands began to shake. Ikenga wiped sweat from his forehead. The princess stepped forward gently and said, my father sent him away at dawn. It broke our hearts, but we said nothing. The king turned to Obina. When the second brother arrived, he was tired, hungry, and weak, but still he refused to sleep on the same mat with the girl. He slept upright on a stool. He woke up early, fetched water for us, gathered fruits for us, thanked us, and left. His heart was humble, his spirit pure. A murmur of admiration rippled through the crowd. The king looked at Obina with pride, then turned the villagers again. Now you understand. A throne is not for the fastest. A princess does not need the strongest. A kingdom does not need the richest. He raised his staff higher. A kingdom needs a man with a good heart. Silence. Deep, heavy, waiting. Nena held her breath. Her knees wobbled. Her mouth trembled. Your Majesty, she whispered to herself, call Emeka, call Emeka. The king finally spoke the name. The man chosen to be prince is... Every heartbeat in the village stopped. Obina stood forward, bowing low to the king and princess, his humility shining brighter than any crown or jewel. The princess smiled warmly, a light of approval in her eyes. Murmurs of admiration spread through the villagers. Emeka's shoulders shook as he approached his brother. Obina, I was wrong in that hut. I let temptation and pride cloud my judgment. I tried to take what was not mine. Obina placed a hand gently on Emeka's shoulder. You are my brother, he said softly. I forgive you. We are bound not just by blood, but by love. Let that guide us. The tension in Emeka's chest released in a deep sigh. Relief and respect flooded his heart. Around them, the crowd watched silently, some wiping tears from their eyes, others whispering blessings. Nena and Ikenga, hands clasped, stepped forward, kneeling before Obina. Nena's voice trembled as she spoke. "My son, forgive us. We tried to protect you, to raise you as our own, but we favored the child of our womb. Please forgive us." Obina knelt before them, eyes gentle yet steady. "Mother, father, your love made me who I am. I forgive you, and I am grateful for every moment." He hugged them both, and the palace rang with whispers of admiration for his generosity and heart. Suddenly, a figure stepped from the crowd. It was Nelma, the woman who had left her baby in the forest years ago. She approached, tears streaming down her face. "Obina, my son," she said, voice trembling, "I am the one who gave you to Ikenga that day. I could not care for you myself. Your true father abandoned me and denied the pregnancy. I am an orphan."
My aunt did not accept you. She threatened to sell you because she couldn't fend for us. But I knew you would have a good home with the hunter. Please, forgive me." But the crowd burst into noise. "She's lying. How can she claim him now? Where is her proof?" Nelma fell to her knees trembling. "I speak the truth. I swear before the gods." Then, the air grew silent. The village seer walked into the courtyard slowly, his staff tapping the earth. His voice cut through the murmurs. "She speaks the truth." Gasps filled the air. The seer pointed at Obina. "This is the child she bore. I saw the vision the night she left him. The gods preserved him for this destiny." A wave of understanding swept through the villagers. Heads bowed. People whispered apologies for doubting her. Obina lifted Nelma gently from the ground and hugged her. "You are my mother. I am grateful you lived long enough to see this day." Nena and Ikenga bowed to her in respect. The bitterness of the past melted in the warmth of truth. The king then signaled to his guards, "Bring forward Chidi." The crowd parted as Chidi was escorted to stand before them, ashamed, eyes lowered. The king spoke loud enough for every ear. "This man denied responsibility for Nelma and abandoned her. Today we do not punish him, but we expose him. Let every villager know the kind of man he is." The crowd murmured, some shaking their heads, others whispering about justice and shame. Chidi's reputation crumbled before the people he once deceived. Turning to Nelma, the king said, "You have suffered enough. From today, you will live in the palace with honor." Nelma bowed deeply, gratitude lighting her face. Obina approached the princess again, and she placed her hand in his. Their future shone like gold before the sun. Emeka came to stand beside him. "Brother, allow me to serve you, to be your advisor." Obina nodded with a smile. "You have always been strong. Stand with me." Princess Adaeze and Obina got married, and so joy filled the palace. The villagers celebrated, singing praises of humility, forgiveness, and truth. And from that day, every evening in the village, mothers and fathers gathered their children and told them this story, so they would learn that love is not blood. It is the heart that chooses who truly belongs, and that a good heart, guided by disciplined steps, is the true path to greatness.